this time, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We want to welcome everyone to the McDowell County Board of Commissioners monthly meeting, and we're honored to have a group of young men here. Y'all going to be first on our agenda tonight. We're looking forward to recognizing y'all's great achievement, guys. Y'all did great and represented McDowell County and made us proud, but we're going to get y'all here in a minute. So, as customary at every meeting, we have a prayer to pledge, so we would like to ask everyone to please stand. Commissioner Allison will lead us in our prayer, and then Commissioner Vaughn will lead us in our pledge to the flag.
Dear God, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. We just ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and decisions that we make that affect everyone in McDowell County. We just ask you to be with each one here tonight and just be with everything with the meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we have the minutes before us. What's the pleasure of the board concerning the minutes as presented?
Make a motion we accept them as written.
Second discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. At this time, we have tonight's agenda before us. And are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
I'd like to make the incentive agreement that was sent out via email, make that under old business and item G.
Okay.
And also under new business, I'd like to add F for school board situation. We're just wanting to support that.
Okay.
And with that, with those amendments, I'd like to make a motion to accept it as presented.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay. First item on our agenda tonight, but before we do that, I do want to recognize one of our commissioners, Brenda Vaughn. This is Brenda's last full board meeting, and Brenda has done an excellent job as a county commissioner. Folks, y'all don't realize the work she's put into this and the dedication, and she's just one of the kindest, sweetest persons you'll ever want to meet and deal with and interact with. And Brenda, on behalf of myself, our chairman is out of state hunting. He's in a tree probably right now, so I'm the vice chairman. I'm filling in for him tonight. But I do want to say, on my behalf, Brenda, it's been a pleasure to work with you. You've always had the people of McDowell County at the heart of every decision you made, and I'm going to miss you, and we're looking forward to you just still being around and interacting, and we don't know what the future holds, but I do want to say thank you so much for just being a great county commissioner, and everything you've done for the people, and from my heart, it's been an honor to serve with you. It sure has.
Thank you.
Brenda, I'd like to say too, when we've had open discussions and sometimes we've disagreed, you have always been very positive, and I'm going to say with respect. And I'm not saying that others have not and I have not, but I think that you've been an excellent Christian representative commissioner, and I will value the time that we've had together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brenda, it's been an honor to serve alongside you and sit next to you for so long, and I just appreciate your friendship more than anything.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. William, go ahead, sir. You've had the honor to serve with Brenda for about 6 years now.
We exchanged a message earlier today. It's just been a great pleasure serving under your leadership along with the rest of the board, and you'll be greatly missed on this board, but I know you'll be continuing to serve in the community, and so I look forward to working with you in different ways. So thank you for your service.
The honor's been mine. It has been an honor to serve the county. It's been an honor to sit in this chair. And I've taken away a whole lot more than I know I could give, because I have really, it's been an education for me. And I do love this county. I've been here 68 years now. And there is, served through the sheriff's office for many years, and this has been so totally different than that. That was an honor, and it was my heart, was working in the sheriff's office. Working here has been about the same thing. It has been totally from the heart, and I appreciate all of the patience everybody gave me to try to learn how to be that rat on a wheel and keep up with these people that's been here so long. But again, the honor's been mine, and I appreciate and thank everybody that allowed me to sit in this chair.
And Brenda, we will bring, as customary at our January meeting, bring you and your family back, and we have some special things to do for you then. But we did want to definitely tonight, at the start of the meeting, let you know how important you are to to us as a Board of Commissioners, and also your friendship's been tremendous, and thank you so much. With that being said, let's go to item A on our appointment schedule, and we have some guys here, and I guess, Aikman's, come on up. You're going to start this process off. But I want to ask you guys, first of all, how many of you guys collect baseball cards? 1, 2. All right, well, man, when I was growing up, we collected those things and traded those things. I said it to say this, you know what? One day y'all may be on a baseball card, and we may be collecting your cards. So, Aikman, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. So my name is Aikman Kazee. I'm the Recreation Programs Administrator. Chad sends his regards. He's off hunting, as you guys all know. As many of you guys are keenly aware, McDowell County Parks and Recreation underwent a merger with McDowell County Little League just under a year ago. The first season of Little League after the merger was a resounding success, with over 700 children participating in the league. Many of the games took place at county facilities such as Lindley Field and Maple Leaf Sports Complex, which served as the main site for many of our ball games. As much of a success the first season was, we saw even more success in the postseason. McDowell County Little League boasted 2 district champions in softball and saw many other top 3 finishes throughout district play. But the greatest success comes from these young men right here. They became the first team in McDowell County Little League history to win the state championship, and it was done so at Maple Leaf Sports Complex here in our county. At this time, I want to read off the entire roster. Levi Boone, Isaac Brendle, Danny Brown, Caden Buchanan, Dominic Cardenas, Jacoby Dell, Tanner Furr, AJ Mackey, Drue Rose, Hayden Shelton, Jaden Silver, Zeb Street, and Reid Waugh. The manager was Jeff Brendle, and assistant coaches were Dean Rose and James Furr. And I just want to let you guys know we're extremely proud of you guys over at Parks and Recreation at Little League. We're extremely proud of you guys. You're the first. You're history makers. And I want to thank y'all for taking the time to recognize these young men.
Thank you very much.
Hey guys, stand up, come up front so they can get you out. Just say, thanks for the introduction, but we want to see, just tell us your name and what position you played. So just get in line, just tell us your name, and then tell us what position you played. You can face the camera, because that's where we want y'all to be seen.
You want to start with this?
Yeah, that'd be great.
My name's Drue, and I mostly play third base when we play there, and I pitch a little bit.
Can you guys start back over?
Could you maybe start from the beginning, please? Thank you.
So, my name's Drue, and I pitched a little bit in the second game, and I played third base when I was pitching.
My name's Hayden, and I pitched and played first and third.
I'm Dominic, and I played left and right field.
My name is Reid, and I played second base and outfield.
My name's Isaac Brendle, and I played first base.
My name's Furr. I play catcher.
All right, great guys.
Excellent guys.
Wonderful. Let's give a standing ovation, y'all. Guys, we're gonna get our picture made with you, okay? It's not often we get to get our picture made with famous people, so we're gonna get our picture made with y'all. And coaches, just while you're up here, state your name for the everybody in McDowell County is going to watch this, and we want to get y'all recognized too, guys.
I'm Jeff Brendle. I was the manager of this team, but I didn't manage a whole lot. I had some good guys with me. We kind of did it as a team effort, as a team of coaches together, and just so proud of these guys. They did an awesome job. Made us look really good.
I'm Furr, assistant coach, and this group of boys here and the others are not here tonight. They are very great boys. If y'all will keep going, you will go somewhere with these jerseys, I promise you.
My name's Dean Rose. I'm assistant coach. I've coached most of these boys since I was probably six years old, maybe even smaller than that. Got a lot of talent here. Look forward to doing it again.
What is your age group?
15, big 15.
This age group for junior league is 13 and 14-year-olds.
This year we're playing 15.
Sounds good.
Guys, yeah, let's get y'all up front, and we'll just do 2 lines. You guys up front, and we'll get
Brenda, you go front left.
Get over, Brenda. Why don't you get a middle of them right there? How's that?
That's good.
get up front if you're short.
Congratulations.
One more.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. I do want to say, as we're in the process of the meeting, that Kevin Price, when they came to the board, Chad Marsh and Kevin came to the board and presented the proposed merger of the county with the Little League program. So Kevin, you say a few words, because that was one of the greatest partnerships we've done today, and so take the floor and say a few words, sir.
So, thank you guys for giving us your blessing when we decided to do that. A lot of people don't know, McDowell Little League has been in this county since 1985. That's when they originally got the charter. Lasted about 4 seasons, primarily in East Marion, over at the old church field. I was fortunate enough to get to play on the All-Star team that got to play in the state tournament in 1989. So, when they decided to bring McDowell Little League back to the county in 2012, Donnie Suttles, Barry McPeters, a couple of those guys were really instrumental in getting that going. And I was one of the ones they reached out to and said, hey, we'd like to get some of the guys that played with us back in the 80s to actually facilitate and help run the program now. So I started in 2012 coaching, did that for a couple years, and slowly with so many options with travel ball, and then we had Little League and county ball, and it was kind of muddy in the waters. So by the time 2016 rolled around, we were down to 46 kids. That's what we had in McDowell Little League. We had 4 teams in the 9 through 12 division, and that was it. Donnie called me and said, we need somebody to take it over. The people that were running, the president and vice president at the time, had said, you know, we've been doing this since the 80s. It's time for us to step aside. And reluctantly, I did take over the position. And with the people, and it is completely the people that have helped me, the kids and everything else, we've went from 46 kids in 2016 to 757 this year. And for the first time, and with the exception of just a couple travel ball teams that I'm still convincing that, hey, play with us during the week and you can still travel on the weekends and make our county stronger. This is about the first time since sometime in the 80s we've been able to pretty much play under one umbrella. So,
Kevin, could you tell everybody too, for just an example, we had 757 kids in McDowell Little League. Say Rutherford County, these other counties, they had nowhere near that.
That's right. So first of all, we in our district, we were the closest, we beat the other district charters by over 500 kids. Oh, so wow. That's how much more we had here than there. And we've actually went a step further, and some of the surrounding areas that don't offer those programs, we've been able to annex some of that in. So everything south of, I think it's Harris Middle up at Mitchell County, those kids are able to play as part of our territory, and then some of the kids right across the line in the Black Mountain area are able to play with us because they didn't have programs. And we were like, hey, come play with us. You know, we want every kid that we can have. So when Chad took over that position with the rec a couple years ago, I remember sending him that text that night. I said, you know I'm going to want to talk to you sooner than later. And it's been smooth. It's been fantastic. It's been a partnership. It's been a long time coming. He and his staff have been absolutely wonderful in helping us make this transition. And honestly, I expect us to have even a better turnout next year. So it's something, again, with you guys signing off on it for us last year, saying you're in support of it, and with the support we have got from Parks and Rec, I think it's been good for our kids, which is the #1 priority. And secondly, it's going to be good for our county. I do look for our county sports programs if we continue doing that, because Chad and his guys have kind of sampled what we do in Little League, in football, and now in basketball. And over time, it's not going to be tomorrow, but you're going to see the sports programs in our county get stronger. And again, it's not about sports. If you don't play sports, that's fine. It's about, at a childhood level, those kids having the opportunity to play sports, to be a part of a team, to be able to be together and make those friendships and memories, because we're not deluded to think that less than 5% of the kids that come through our program will even play high school ball. But it's about those memories. It's about that structure. It's about having good people in front of them, you know, guiding them and teaching them and having memories that will last them the rest of their life. These boys will never forget this trip to the state tournament and then going to the regionals. No matter how old they'll get, they'll always be able to say, hey, we were the first state champions in McDowell Little League to ever come out of that county. They'll never forget that. So, again, thank you guys for your parts, and I thank you for what you do for us.
Thanks, Kevin. Here again, another example of partnership, working together, getting more things done, and a better product resulted with that partnership. So thanks, Kevin, for Little League and all Little League does to contribute to and partner with Aikman and Chad. Chad's great, man. We've got a rock star heading up our recreation department now, and that department is on fire, and positive things are happening, and we're looking forward to even greater things happening with what we're doing with facilities and our buildings and grounds right now too. So thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, this time let's move to item B on our appointment schedule, and we have Mr. Tim Cain with us tonight. Tim, come up, sir, and Mr. Wooten, if you'll go ahead and lead out on this topic. This is to adopt the schedule of values for our reevaluation.
Sure, thank you. Well, Tim comes up. This is part of the process of our proper revaluation that kicks off. It's been going on for about 3+ years now, but really we'll get into high gear come January. So turn it over to Mr. Cain.
Yes, sir. The effective date is January 1st of 2023. This is our 4th year, or our 4-year revaluation. We are still continuing to look at sales and will continue to look at sales through the end of this year. Our line in the sand is January 1. We realize that there are some challenges, or let's say some market issues right now going on for the last 3 months in particular. That's one of the reasons that we continue to look at all the sales until the end of the year. But what we're asking tonight is for you to adopt the schedule of values. The schedule of values has been previously provided to all of y'all, and we've also had the public hearing already last month. There are ranges in the schedule of values, and the reason we did it that way is because of the uncertainty that we knew that we were going to be facing here in the 4th quarter, and we're asking this body to adopt that schedule of values tonight.
Okay, commissioners have any questions for Mr. Cain or staff?
I don't at this time.
No, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and adopt the schedule of values as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay, Tim, thanks, sir. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Tim, for your work.
Let's move to item C. This will be Old Fort's 150th anniversary. We have Miss Kim Effler, our esteemed chamber director, with us tonight, and the Honorable Cathy Moore with her. So the floor is yours.
So thank you. My name is Cathy Moore, and just for people that don't have any idea who I am, actually grew up in Old Fort, went to school first through the 12th grade, and then went off and had a career, and after I retired I came home. So I am an Old Fort native. Old Fort is going to be 150 years old next year, and we have this project called 150, and 150 is the project team. I've left with you a little handout, 150 project. On the front of it, it shows you that our Gmail address, and as well as our Facebook page. I'm just going to hit a couple of high points. What we're about is we're about developing a culture for appreciation of history and elevating the history and the presence of Old Fort and improving or establishing a location not just for outdoor recreation but also for history enthusiasts, because there is a tremendous amount of history in our small town. And on that second page it shows the things that we have going as of right now. We're going to kick off on the 23rd of February with an official anniversary commencement program. And then there's going to be a reappearance of Maud and Ethel on the 24th and 25th of March. The title of their event is Celebrate 150 Years of Old Fort. In March, we're also launching historical talks. We've said monthly, but it seems we've come up with more than will fit in months. So at least once a month, we're going to be having historical talks about different things about Old Fort. And here I've also put things that are not the 150 project. And that's an example of, we really want to make sure that everybody knows about everything that's going on in Old Fort. So we're going to have this 150 calendar that's going to attempt to cover everything that's going on within the town within 2023. And then about October, we're going to have our culminating finale. So those are the things that's going on right now as of November, and that list will continue to grow. We as a project are just trying to spotlight, we're spotlighting Old Fort's sesquicentennial. That's why we say 150, because I can't pronounce that word. And the theme of our anniversary is Elevate Old Fort. And Elevate Old Fort's, I start with history, not alphabetical, art, our community, our enterprise, our trails, our outside activities, and our people. And so we have 3 goals. One is communication, trying to make sure everybody knows about all of the events that are going to be going on throughout the year. 2 is exploring what our history is and bringing that to the forefront to where everybody can know it and appreciate the history of our town and community. And then celebrating, like from the 23rd of February through the 29th of October, we hope to celebrate our birthday. And so with that, we're looking for other passionate community members that are willing to invest in our project and work with us and help us with raising funds to support our scavenger hunts and our contests and our history activities.
What kind of funding are you looking for, Cathy?
Well, do you want a number?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay. We're looking for, the town of Old Fort was willing to contribute $4,000 to our efforts, and they're considering moving to 5, and so we're looking at a number like that. 4,000 to 5,000 is what we would like to see you consider contributing to our cause. That will be not just a one-day event, but a year-long event.
If acceptable to you, I'd like to propose 30-day sit-on, and we'll make some kind of decision next month at our next meeting, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
And I do want to say, too, if you don't know Cathy, she is a wonderful, wonderful person. Her whole family is. But what she is doing in Old Fort and McDowell County, I just want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I will say that almost everybody, there's just one person that's on the whole project that's not a volunteer. So everything is volunteer.
The chamber has put in our budget to contribute to this project next year as well.
So thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Cathy, we're excited, and Kim, about what is getting ready to happen, and we look forward to being a partner, and we'll be back in touch with you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Okay, this time let's move to item D on our appointment schedule. This is the Catawba Riverkeeper Basin Plan, and we have Mr. Grant Buckner, who's approached the podium, and the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Good to have you.
I just want to say, being from Brendle, North Carolina, and coming down to play baseball in McDowell on a lot of weekends, it's good to see some success in Western North Carolina. So my name's Grant Buckner. I'm the watershed manager for the Northern Basin with Catawba Riverkeeper, and I want to thank you guys for letting me come speak here tonight, and I also want to thank Lake James Environmental Association and Foothills Conservancy of North Carolina. Those two organizations are groups that we've really started to do a lot of collaboration with, and it's been really important for our mission. So what we do at Catawba Riverkeeper, very simply, our mission statement is to preserve, protect, restore the waters of the Catawba Wateree River Basin through advocacy, education, and engagement. Excuse me, engagement. So the way we kind of do that is through three main goals. The first thing is education. We try to educate school-age children and adults about water quality. We engage people by getting them out there on the water through volunteerism, through recreation to get them out on the water, and then we also work to protect the water as well. We are about 25 years old, and we have for a long time had a focus specifically in the Charlotte region. We were most notably caught up in a lawsuit with Duke Energy for the past 10 years, which took up a lot of time and really didn't allow us to come up into the headwaters. And that is an effort that I'm going to talk about, and we've spent basically the last year and a half trying to focus our efforts on the upper basin, including the Lake James watershed. And we realize that we're only going to ever have as good water quality downstream as we have up here, so we're really focused on that. I'll point out two of the most probably relevant items that we're kind of working on in the Lake James watershed. The first is the Old Fort Trash Trout. I want to thank you guys for supporting that, along with G5 Trail Initiative Kitsbow. That's a litter device that floats in Mill Creek and collects trash, and then we take that out and recycle it, keep track of what's going in, what's coming out. I'm here to report that we haven't got a lot of trash out of Mill Creek, which is kind of a nice thing. That's a pretty pristine watershed. It's a trout fishery, so we're glad to not see too much trash. We're about 15 pounds for the year, and most of that is Gatorade bottles. There's someone out there who likes orange and red Gatorade bottles, and we're closing on 100 of those. So thank you for support. That with this recent rainstorm, we had some issues. I was out there about 7 o'clock this morning working on that, making sure everything was flowing good, and we are going to have that issue resolved soon. We also do Swim Guide. That's one of our largest programs, so we post every Friday between Memorial Weekend and Labor Day whether or not it's safe to swim on sites throughout the Lake James watershed, mostly on Lake James, and we've ballooned from 4 to 8 sites throughout the year, and we post that publicly on Facebook and Instagram so people know, hey, it's safe for me to go swim this weekend. We're focused on water quality for a few main reasons. Obviously in the Lake James watershed, with it now becoming a drinking utility, we're super focused on improving water quality, as well as the fisheries and the wildlife. Everybody loves to come up from Charlotte, come up from other places to recreate on the lake, as well as the local community. So we want to make sure that there's a thriving fishery and the wildlife are there. And then lastly, as more people are getting outside, we're really excited to push for more recreation access and allow the people to enjoy the water. So that's a very brief description of what we do. But like I said, we have recently had the chance to refocus on what we want to do in the Northern Basin. And so we're really happy with our partnerships. I mentioned I'm the Northern Basin Watershed Manager, so I have an outlook for everything above Lake Norman, so Lake James, Lake Kickery, and Lake Rodas. But we're really lucky to have Lake James Environmental Association who can help us kind of tap into the local issues. We started that initiative kind of a few years ago. Like I said, we got a North Carolina Water Fund grant to fund that initiative, to fund my position for a year. And we basically realized that, working on preserving and conservation water is great. We're always going to push for that. We're always going to work on that. But there are some areas that are just too degraded where protecting it simply isn't enough. So we have to go and physically do something like restoration to improve that. And I did send around an email with a Northern Basin plan. We had, again, probably didn't get a chance to review it. Friday night was when the trash trout got blown out, so I was out there as well looking at that. But essentially we identified 27 different projects to improve water quality, with about 8 of those in the Lake James watershed. So these range from things like planting trees along the riverbanks to taking out some relic dams that are problematic for water quality and recreation, and a variety of other things as well. We're focusing on these projects because of the water quality issues in the basin. Some of the biggest thing we see is the lack of riparian buffers. And that's a science term for trees along rivers. Those do a great job at filtering out pollution and keeping that bank in place so the sediment doesn't flow into the river and cause problems. Another thing we're focusing on are cattle in streams. This is sort of a simple thing on paper, but it's really hard to execute in actuality. So we're looking to try to help farmers fence cattle out of streams and provide alternative water sources. We're going to be devoting a lot of time to trying to figure out what is Catawba Riverkeeper's role in that. And it's beneficial for the farmers as well. I've seen pictures and experienced cows defecating in the stream and a cow downstream drinking that. So when that happens, those cows are drinking bad water and they are having lower weights when they're going to the market. And those steep banks can create problems with broken legs when they're getting down to the stream. Lastly, also stormwater. That was really prevalent this weekend as we got all that rain. So stormwater is a really big issue. Basically, anywhere you got pavement, you're going to have some issues with stormwater if there's not proper stormwater control measures. So that's something we're working on locally and at the state level. And then lastly, I'll talk a little bit again about kind of what we can do and what hopefully McDowell County can work on us with in the future. The first being, as we start to look towards these restoration projects, there are grants that help get funding for this that we as a nonprofit can't apply for, so we have to have a local municipality. We're working on something similar to that with Burke County this year, and we're hoping that it's successful and we can start to look at other counties to do that. And then lastly, we are a nonprofit for the water and for the people, and so we're a resource. A lot of what I was doing yesterday and today was responding to people who noticed water quality concerns after the past flooding. And so I also want to reach out and say we're also a resource for you or your constituents. If they reach out about an issue with water quality, feel free to pass them along to us, and we'll try to come up with an answer or help them find someone who knows the answer. With that, I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions. It's kind of hard to cover everything, so I'd love to answer questions if you have them.
Brenda, one of the things that you brought up, there are a lot of farmers in the county, and with that, there used to be some state funding that would help assist farmers, small farmers, with cattle, horses, livestock, to try to get watering systems out of the creek. And is that still going on, to your knowledge?
Yeah, so the Soil and Water District have cost share programs on that, where the farmer takes on a portion and then the state reimburses the rest of it up. I can't remember the exact number, it might be 75%. So we've talked about trying to get volunteers out there to try and do labor on those projects to increase the profitability for those farmers so they're not having to spend as much money. And we're also looking at grant funding to see, is there pockets of money we can reach out to and go directly to the farmers to help them.
Yeah, because I do know there's a lot of farmers that have less than 15 head of animals, and they're not going to have a lot of money to spend on something like that. So that's one thing. Another thing is, in your printout, you were talking about it's like 3.5 million gallons of water out of 5 different counties used for agriculture. I'm assuming that's crops and everything. And
Yeah, I think in the plan, every year we also do a State of the River report where we kind of look after everything, and we do tally up how much water has been withdrawn from the different places. But yeah, that was just any agricultural withdrawal in the northern basin, so everything above Lake Norman.
Sure. I do think that education is a big thing, and what you're doing is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Grant, we've got a gentleman that's in, I guess, the Soil and Water Conservation Hall of Fame, Doc Butner.
That's right.
Yeah, and so saw your last name, said, I wonder if he's related to Doc Butner.
No, there's a few
because Doc can
Buckners.
talk, and you can talk. But no, you did a great job tonight, and very informative. 2,672 miles of streams within this basin, and we are, as you said, at the top of the basin. And so very important to us as a board is to make sure we have pure water, because we know it's going downstream, and we want to do our part and be good stewards of what we've got here in McDowell County. So we look forward to hearing how your partnership with Burke County turns out, and maybe that could be a model for us to look at down the road. Any other questions, comments?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, at this time let's move to item E on our appointment schedule. And, I just said the Hall of Fame for Soil and Water Conservation. We've got, I guess, a gentleman here tonight, Mr. Steve Pierce, to come speak before the board concerning the Great Trails State Coalition Year of the Trail. And Steve Pierce has been a trailblazer, no pun intended, in working with the trails and bringing the groups together and making the board aware of how we can partner. So Steve, it's an honor to have you in the boardroom tonight, sir, and we are so proud of the work that you and the McDowell Trails organization has done, and we're so glad we get to partner with you guys. So the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity, and first and foremost, thank you for your support of trails. There's so many good things happening. I just want to share two initiatives with you tonight. Before I do, I need to recognize two of our board members, Cathy Moore, who was just up here. She's on MTA board, and Steve Hunter. And so glad to have them here also this evening. The Great Trail State Coalition is just that. It's a coalition of nonprofits, land and trail managers, business and industry, and local governments who have come together to work to get state money for trails. Primarily they're working at that state level. So all trail types, hike, bike, walk, run, equestrian, paddle trails, in all 100 counties, also working with state agency partners, particularly North Carolina state parks. And all of this came out of, you probably, well, no, you don't remember, but you've heard the term before, Good Road State. The reason I thought, oh, I remember that. No, found out it was the turn of the 20th century when North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, had the vision and leadership and commitment and funding to build roads in the state. And now here we are at the turn of the 21st century, and there is the vision and the community demand for great trails, for us to be the great trail state. What we're working toward with the Great Trail State Coalition is to bring that state leadership, commitment, and funding to trails in the same way that the state committed to roads a century ago. I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on the question of why are trails important, because I'd be preaching to the choir, I think. Trails are free to users. They lead to improved health and well-being, as we know, safety from vehicular traffic, protecting our valuable natural resources. We just heard from the Catawba Riverkeeper. Just look at what has been done on the Joseph McDowell Greenway with the riverbank stabilization, protecting the natural resource there. Positive economic impact, especially for rural communities. And trails are the backbone of North Carolina's $28 billion growing outdoor recreation economy. And also, just couple little fact things. You've heard this one before. For every dollar spent on trail construction, it generates $1.72 annually from local business revenue, state tax revenue, and benefits related to health and transportation. And also the other one here, the trail use has increased more than 300% in some places in the last couple years. The pandemic has really brought people out and wanting to be on trails. So the Great Trail State Coalition came together during the pandemic, really, of getting the state to fund these trails that they have established. There are 12 state trails in North Carolina. Probably the one that we always think of is one that we're building right here where we live, the Front Florida State Trail. But also there's the Mountains of Sea Trail and many, many others all across the state. These are developed by local trail groups, but they are sanctioned by or created by the legislature. And now, in just this past long session, the state legislature passed $28.5 million for state trails. It's the first time that actual state money has gone toward these state trails. And that is in large part due to the work of the Great Trail State Coalition, lobbying and influencing state legislators to propose and to pass this legislation. By the way, Font State Trail received over $500,000 of that money that will go toward the development of the Font State Trail. We know that $28.5 million will not complete the trails, not anywhere close. But in this coming session, the 2023 long session, the Great Trail State Coalition has already working on establishing a trail caucus, and they're going to be asking again for state money. They're going to be requesting $50 million in Great Trail State funding for a competitive grant program for all types of trails, and also some recurring funding for trail nonprofits for capacity and running those. And so there's this need for funding for trails, especially at the state level, which then brings me to, I guess, my ask tonight is that local governments have a very, very low profile with the Great Trail State Coalition. There are dozens of nonprofits and others, the Font State, the Friends of the Font State Trail and the MTA are members. But I look, there are 3 local governments who are part of the Great Trail State Coalition. And that's what we want to build up, to get more local governments to join in the coalition. And that's my ask, that you consider joining all these other groups in this coalition to broaden the voice so that we can get state funding, continued state funding for state trails. And to me, it makes sense, because the more money that comes from the state for trails, that's less money that is going to come from local governments for trails.
Steve, I think we're ready to take a motion right now.
I'll make a motion to join the Great Trails State Coalition.
Second. Discussion. I'll just add that, listen, I'm proud to be number 4 on the list now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign.
Thank you. We are looking forward to continued communication on that and keeping us abreast of that, because I know this is not the first time you've come in the 2 years I've been here, and it's, but we do need education, but we do like hearing that every dollar spent, we can get a little bit of money back.
$1.72 is right.
So, it does cost money to run a county, and I do appreciate you coming and asking for us to do that, but what we're asking for is just keeping us educated.
Absolutely will. As a matter of fact, that's a great segue into part 2. Okay. The year of the trail. The state legislature declared and passed legislation to establish 2023 as the year of the trail. Not asking for any money for this. As a matter of fact, talk about education, they want to have a hosted event in all 100 counties to celebrate trails during the year of the trail. Inspiring people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds to try trails, to just education, but also to boost outdoor recreation and tourism. And so yeah, we got thinking about that on our MTA board, and we thought, okay, 1 trail event a year. This is McDowell County. We're going to have at least 1 trail event each month during the 2023. So here's a great opportunity. I want to invite all of you. We will be publishing the events and everything. Ask you to come out to some of the events, join in. We're going to have a variety of things. It's not all going to be hiking on trails. It's going to be lots of other activities as well. And we're going to start on New Year's Eve, right here in downtown Marion. What do we do in Marion? We drop the gold nugget, right? Well, it rings in the year. We're going to ring in the year of the trail in 2023 too, having a presence there at that, and have a first day hike on January 1st in the afternoon. So come out for that. So be looking for lots of just great activities and things during the year, and I'll be glad to come back anytime and give you an update on anytime you want information. And the other thing I'll say, another big thing during the year of the trail is something you already know about, the Old Fort Trails and Trains Festival on June 3rd. And that's going to be a big blowout. We're really looking forward to that too. So thank you so much for your support. Greatly appreciate it. And
Steve, if anybody wants to join who's watching tonight, if anybody wants to find out how they can join the McDowell Trails Association, can you tell them what they need to do?
Sure. It's mtatrails.org is our website. You can just go online there. You can print out a form and join, or you can join online, either way. So we'd be glad to have the more members. It makes us stronger, gives us a stronger voice as well.
Okay, wonderful, Steve.
Thank you so much.
We are so excited about the activity and the expansion and the teamwork, the partnership on the trails, and we're looking forward to 2023 being the year of the trail, and our board will partner and be right beside your group as you move forward, and just let us know how we can help.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Okay, at this time, let's move to item A under old business. This will be building projects. Mr. Wooten, go ahead, sir, lead us out.
Sure, I'd be glad to. So you've got quite a list of projects on your memo there of capital items. I've said a couple of times here for months that we've moved away from some big projects, EMS ×2, this building, of course, and a few other things. But we're taking a little bit of a breather, and we're going to just keep going. And I'll just kind of breeze through these. Update you and the public here. We have executed the contract that you approved with the architect that is looking at the services building. Again, this is the old administration building behind the courthouse. That architect has been through the building. They have our old plans. They have put them into the computer system and have gone through every room in that building to do confirmation of measurements and make sure walls haven't been changed or removed, etc. We're meeting with them in about 2 weeks to really kick off that the programming is what they call it. And as you recall, this board has directed that NC probation and parole is to go into the second floor of that building, which will involve some shifting of county departments. But we'll make sure probation and parole is involved in that planning process. They don't need a lot. They just need offices and a few other things, which most of that's already there, that may require some reconfiguration. So we'll make sure they're involved with that. And so that is really getting underway in 2 weeks. You've authorized the removal, one way or the other, of the old EMS station on Garden Street. We're going through the cleanup remediation process now to get it ready for that. We are going to list it online for sale. We've never attempted this before for the actual building itself, not the property, and see if someone wanted to come and buy it and remove it. It would not be by, again, the ground underneath. They would have to remove it at their own cost. And so we're going to try that.
What kind of timetable? Because I know there was a motion to have it advertised and sold. If it wasn't sold by November 1st.
The remediation process. Anytime you take down a building, you've got to make sure all the not so positive things and everything are removed. And so that's taking a little bit longer. We are using a local vendor, and they're backed up with just like everyone else. But we do have that report, and we've asked them to get that scheduled ASAP. Hope to keep that moving as quickly as possible. Across the streets, talk first about the Garden Street parking lot. Our intention has been for that paving contractor to pave that lot last week or this. It's going to be very cold this week, so it may not be a good week for them. So we're hoping that they can get that done by the end of the month when it is a little bit warmer. Did talk to the vice chairman earlier about the landscaping on the property. It is a little shaggy, as I like to call it, around. So we'll make sure once this work is done, this lot will be striped. But we'll also make sure the landscaping around it is improved so it looks as it should. The other parking lots you identified last month, we're in the process, very, very early process of putting together the specs for that work, and probably would bid that out as one package where it would be suitable for a local grading company. Some of the sites you identified need more than just paving, so there would be some grading work and some substrate work as well. So we'll make sure that's scheduled to be done as soon as the asphalt plant's open in spring. So that work will be ready for that bidding at that point. The last item on the capital list, unless you have questions, we have an RFQ out for, which is request for qualifications for architectural services for DSS. So what that means is that we have been advertising for a couple of weeks. You've authorized this to where architects will send in a statement of qualifications. It just essentially shows their work that they've done, more or less, for government sector, usually, typically in this realm. So if you design an airport, we're maybe not that interested, but if you design a public office building or an addition or what have you, that's more of the interest here. So we've had, I believe, about 4 architects that have reached to us for questions, clarifications, and so hopefully have 3 or 4 submit qualifications. That deadline is this Friday for those. Any questions about any of those items?
Okay, let's move to item B under old business. This will be the Verizon cell tower easement.
Yes, sir. You heard, I believe, about 3 weeks ago or so from Verizon Wireless. As you recall, they are wanting to place a cell tower on private property off of 226 South near the Ag Barn south of town. So again, I said private property, but there is a portion of what's called an ice fall zone that is on county property. Again, you met with the company. There's been several back and forth offers, and the last offer that you made was over a 25-year period, a total of $25,000. So $1,000 a year essentially is what that looks like, which the company agreed to. They have sent some easement documents that are attached. It was pointed out by Mr. Coates and Mr. Walker that the first agreement there that's on page 34 in your packet, under item 2, it talks about a non-exclusive perpetual easement. Later on, it talks about being a 25-year agreement. So the suggestion is maybe just to strike perpetual, since it means 2 different things. But it is a non-exclusive easement for that 25-year period. And it can be extended if the board at that time, the company at that time would like to.
So all you're looking for is the approval of the easement and with the easement, with the wording of taking perpetual out.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, got a motion, second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay, thank you. Let's move to item C. This would be the Water and Emergency Services Ordinance updates. Mr. Luke, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you. I believe it was about 2 months ago, we had essentially what was a first reading of some updated ordinances. 2 of these are updates and 1 is new, as I pointed out at that time. We have had a state of emergency ordinance, which has been in place for many years. And so we have taken what is essentially a template ordinance. I believe a neighboring county uses this, but we went through and made sure there was nothing there that we weren't already doing by practice or what you had already believed to be prudent. And so that is the state of emergency ordinance. The next item is the hazardous handling of hazardous materials and emergencies, cost recovery. That ordinance has been on the books quite a number of years, and what was problematic about it was that it had a fee in the ordinance, and so we were limited to whatever that ordinance says. And so now it refers back to the actual fee schedule, so you can change that every year however you would like. The last ordinance is the water distribution ordinance. And as I pointed out the first time we talked about this, we have been operating essentially since the system was transferred over from city operation. It's always been county ownership to a degree. but essentially been following their ordinance, but it was never implemented. A lot of what we've been doing is just basic state statute. And so this is mostly state statute with some other parts just kind of added around it. So this is the new ordinance. Again, the other two are updates.
Okay, make a motion to accept all three ordinances as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay, let's move to Parks and Recreation, item D under old business.
Yes, sir. A couple of updates for you. It was mentioned early on under the programmatic aspect that that department is doing a tremendous amount of work thanks to your support and the leadership of Mr. Marsh in that department. Mr. Walker touched on some capital improvements that are underway, and specifically tonight we'll talk about the Recreation Center work. You've endorsed a phased approach for the Recreation Center that's on the corner of Academy and West Court Street. Just a quick reminder on that. It is primarily focusing on the field that is there, essentially where it's been a baseball, softball field. That's still going to be a lot of the main focus, but you said you wanted to be a multi-sport opportunity with having opportunity for soccer and other sports that might come along, and so that would require some turf component, and so that's in the program. You've also talked about traffic flow. If you're a parent or just happen to drive by when basketball season is going on, or swimming is also problematic. There's very limited parking. Traffic flow is pretty terrible, and it has been for 40 plus years. And so this project would improve the traffic flow, allow for in and out, also allow for the expansion of parking. Also, what you include in this first phase is a reworking of the existing pool. We have an old deep end where you had diving boards. That's all going to be removed. You'll still keep the lanes, but essentially where the deep end was, that'll be extended into a splash pad type component, and that will allow for folks of all ages, abilities, and so forth to have some wet play without having to go into a pool. But the pool is accessible if anyone of different abilities wanted to go in. There will be capability there. So we're meeting, staff is meeting with the architects this Friday, as well as the multitude of consultants. So a project like this, you're going to have civil engineers, you're going to have the landscape architect, Mr. Blackwell, you've met. There's also a pool consultant. So, architect does what they do, but they have to bring in all these professionals. So we're meeting with them. We're really going to push on the schedule to really get a hard, fast date on when work is going to start. And the conversation I had with the architect today was a lot of it is going to be driven by weather, of course. We're entering the winter. But a lot of it will be driven by what the pool consultant work schedule is and so forth. So we're going to, like I said last month, we feel like we're the most important client. I know every client says that, but we're going to really push that point home respectfully, of course. But we've gotten state money, and there is state expectation that we're moving and spending state taxpayer money like we should be. So it's not just because we want to move things. We do have the state wanting us to move as well. So that's this Friday, and I'll definitely report how that goes. Just a quick update on grant applications. Staff, being Mr. Silver and Mr. Marsh, worked quite a bit on the Maple Leaf Playground and Picnic Shelter grant. We had a public meeting. There was an endorsement by City Council. A lot of community groups endorsed that. And so that was submitted by the September 30th deadline. And we feel as good as you can. They did a great job on putting a tremendous amount of effort into it. And we'll let you know when we hear on that one. It usually takes about 3 or 4 months for this group to report. And we are meeting before the complex meeting Friday. We're going to meet with Mr. Marsh on planning for a Part F, Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. We're meeting with him Friday to go over some of the capital planning that has been going on that you have endorsed previously. Try to identify a project that would be suitable for a grant. So there's been lighting that's been talked about, so we're going to look at that and get some feedback from the state if that's an eligible expense, and some other things. So Friday isn't like the cutoff, it's just to kind of kick it off. So we'll be having conversations, but if individually or as a board you think of projects that you would like us to look at, we'll definitely be listening to direction.
Okay, a lot going on, which is good.
And they were able to get the padding installed along the baselines.
Great.
To make it safer for basketball.
Good deal. So we look forward to hearing back from our architect as this process continues to move forward. Questions by board members concerning anything you've heard there? Okay. Let's move to item B under old business water system projects. Mr. Wood, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I promise I do look at these memos and I do tweak them every month when necessary, but sometimes it does feel like we're standing still on some projects and then all of a sudden things happen. We're a little bit in that realm for water, but I feel like over the next couple of months a lot of things are going to start moving quickly. So again, I'll update on phase 1 of our Nebo water system expansion. Over the last 3 or 4 days, I've had a lot of back and forth communication with our engineer at McGill Associates on the final permitting for that phase 1. And again, I'll try to get all the roads in there. There's a 126, NC 126 extension. There's Bentwood Drive, there's Nebba-Jimpsey, there's Jack Corpening, there's Wildlife Road, and Lonesome Pine. I may have been Sunny Acres. I think I got them all. I'll pass the test, but that is very close to getting that final state permit from NCDEQ. And once we have that, we're just weeks, if not a month or so, from having the bid advertised for that work. Phase 2, which is moving westward towards city limits, that's only still in the early stages. I don't think we've heard if they've started to do surveying. That's usually the first part, and I don't think we've heard that update yet, so we'll keep on that one. We have been working a little bit on the Hoppy Tom Hollow Road water project. The first step is the selection of an engineer. We had 2 engineering firms respond to an RFQ process. I am asking later for approval of them. I don't have the contract yet, so I could table that, or if you would like to approve that, we can do that in a moment. Just the other couple of quick updates. We have not heard back on the Appalachian Regional Commission grant for Exit 90. That was a small extension there. There was the study for the area around West Marion Elementary. But related to that, staff did submit the ARC pre-application to extend water towards the school. So that was done last Thursday, I believe. And we do have the grant in for what we're calling the East End project around the end of NC 126. That was submitted as well back in September, and there were $2.7 billion worth of applications submitted, water, sewer, stormwater, planning, and others total. We don't know the actual water total thing, but so it could be a long shot to get that grant, but we did apply for a maximum amount of points, and so they within 2 months of that one. So I do have a request on the McGill Associates contract. I don't have that yet. It would be our anticipation that the grant would pay for the work, if that's worth your consideration.
What have we done in the past? Have we gone ahead and approved without knowing, or do we wait until we know and then make the motion?
It's honestly been a 50-50. What they're going to send is a boilerplate
And this is just on the contract itself?
Yes, sir, just for the engineer itself, which that would be for the design, for bid permitting, but also the construction inspection. And we would propose, things can go sideways on construction costs, but that their contract be paid for out of the grant.
McGill Associates are usually the most competitive. Is there any other associates?
So when we had to advertise for qualified firms, we had 2 firms. The other one was Odom Associates out of Rutherford County. They're a great firm. They are smaller, which can be a benefit sometimes. They did not have the experience, recent relevant experience as it related to waterline work in this area or as it related to federal funding. A lot of it had been very distant. Great firm, but not as qualified.
Due to the experience level, really not qualified, I will make a motion to accept the McGill Associates contract for the Happy Time holiday.
Okay, discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign.
I would like to mention, and this is, I think I mentioned it, but for the study of the water service to West Marion Elementary, I would like for staff to get in touch with administration, with schools to find out how much money they have to kick into the project before we make any decisions on that in the future.
And I did have what I would call a preliminary conversation with Mr. Oliver about that, and so just trying to open that door a little bit. So,
because I know that was an issue a couple years ago when somebody was on the school board trying to get water and septic down there at that school, and there's been things changed since then. So, but and not being aware of fully what's going on the board there, I do think Mr. Oliver might be able to steer us in the right direction.
And you know what's great, we're sitting here tonight at our monthly meeting and we're talking about 5 different water projects. That's tremendous. We've asked for water projects and we've asked for extensions to occur, and we've asked to see if we can serve maybe some underserved areas. But you've got exit 90, so we're hitting the commercial area in Nebo. You've got the schools being affected that we're talking about helping the school, and the fire department substation out there. They're real excited about the possibility of having a water line right in front of their building, saves them 30 to 40 minutes, they say, versus having to go out to the site and dump it in. So, you know, you've got subdivisions being at play here, and so I think it's great. We're looking to expand our water system and we're trying to grow that system as the state says we must do. So we look forward to more information coming, Mr. Wood, on this.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to the ARP update.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to make sure there's been a request to just always keep you informed, and definitely want to do that. So what you've got is a little bit different format than I've provided before. This is essentially the project budget as Ms. Bell has prepared for you. That shows the revenues being the 8.8 approximately that was provided by the American Rescue Plan. There's also interest income. And so the rule with that from Treasury is you can spend it as you would the rest of the rescue plan money. So right now it's a little over $46,000 that's been generated on it. Interest rates are increasing. You've got inflation on the other side, of course, but that is additional revenue there. Expenditure side. Again, no new proposals tonight, not throwing anything at you other than this is what has been previously approved, and we'll just keep bringing that to you. And when we do start the infrastructure broadband, we don't have the contract with Spectrum yet, but that was a little over $100,000, and that would come out of that $1 million. And then future broadband grants would come out of allocation, water, and so forth. So just putting it out there. If you have questions, of course.
The interest income, I say this, that's pretty good. And I think we need to have a discussion on what to do with that. Sure. That doesn't need just go to something, I think the board needs to direct that.
Absolutely. All of this is what you have directed, and anything will be what you direct.
Okay. All right, let's move to item A under new business. This will be the helipad fee.
Before we go, I do want to, we did make an amendment, and we're going to add the incentive agreement.
Item G, incentive.
Yeah, you care to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go to item G. Incentive agreement, yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Sometimes the speed of government is very fast, and sometimes it's very slow. We see a little bit of that even tonight. And this item has moved very slowly for about a year and a half, and now it's moving very fast, which we like for what it is. So with that intro, back in April of 2021, so over a year ago, you held a public hearing for an incentive agreement for, at that time, an unnamed company. We might have used the project name, which was Project Splice at the time. And what that incentive was and is, was a parcel of land in the old industrial park that is off of exit 85. And so that was approved at that time by this board with several caveats. So you're not just giving away land, you are giving away land for the promise of investment. And so what's promised in here is a building. And so this company, which is, they're operating locally under the name Fiber Optic Solutions, but they also have a holding company called Birch Holdings. And so what we would, as FOS Holding LLC. So what we would propose is that any entity that is tied to that company be in the agreement. And so that's some of the delay in getting this done, but they had to set up a new holding company. But the gist of the agreement is the same as what you approved a year and a half ago. They have to build a 2,500 square foot facility in phase one. And they have a period of time to start that. When this was first drafted, they were to start no later than October 1st, which is obviously behind us. So we would suggest moving that forward no sooner than, January 1st, 2023, and give the subsequent amount of time to give them time to get started after the first of the year. They would have 3 years from that date to complete the second phase. So they have the total construction of that building at 5,000 square feet. And so if what is promised is not met, the property has to return back to technically NEDA / the county. So what happens if the building is built and after a couple of years they decide to move to another county, they go to business, whatever, the property would not come back to the county at that point, but it would be restricted to manufacturing or a like type use, and only the board at that time would be able to remove that restriction if you wanted something else to go in there other than manufacturing or something related. So again, the dates need to be tweaked a little bit even from what you've got, and so we'll get Mr. Coates on that. But if you would approve it, this will get the company able to move and get hopefully build out there.
Make a motion to accept the incentive grants and to adjust the dates as you have proposed. That will be workable for us. But go ahead and accept it as presented.
Okay, a second for discussion. Now, I do have this company does rent lease space for me, so I will not be voting on this as per the whole process when we started dealing with it. Okay? All right. Just for full disclosure. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Okay? All right. Let's move to item F. This will be the local Board of Education matter, and I guess I can bring that up. We've been approached by people to have the school board races declared partisan. The justification and the argument that I've been given is that judicial races now on the ballot are marked by the party affiliation, and they said that if that is the most, and should be the most fair and most impartial position within a county as far as a judge, they stated, why can't the school board follow suit? And so I was asked to bring that to the board tonight for the board to discuss.
No problem doing that as discussion.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with doing it.
All right. I do hear a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay. Let's move to item A. This will be a helipad fee discussion under new business.
Yes, sir. Will Keller, who of course is our esteemed emergency services director, he reached out to me a couple weeks ago about an issue or concern that we've had with the hospital. As you all probably know, there is a helicopter that we're very thankful for that Mission has in our community. It's been used, unfortunately, a lot lately. But the helipad that is located at McDowell Hospital is maybe about 200, 300 yards from the actual building, as you know. And so the issue that creates is when there's a transfer, usually from McDowell to the helipad helicopter to be transferred to Asheville or somewhere else. With that distance, they're not allowed to just place the patient on a gurney and wheel them out. They have to be transported in a truck. I could have the percentage wrong, but I believe about 65–70% of those transports are our staff. A combination of that may include rescue squad when they're available, and the balance may be the Mission RTS system. And so what this does, it is very important that it happen, of course. That is life or death usually when that's happening, but it does impact our system. And a lot of times we're put on standby. It could be an hour, sometimes two, depending on the situation. And so that is an impact to the rest of the system as it exists. So Mr. Keller has requested, and as you see in his memo, that there be a base rate, $400, that would be assessed to the hospital itself. And after 60 minutes, if there's additional wait, it would be $50 per 15 that we billed to the hospital, not to the patient itself.
Just a question on this. If the first hour is $400, to be equivalent, it would need to be $100 per 15 minutes. So is there a, did he check other counties as far as the $50, or is this, I'm trying to ask the question of per hour. If it's 400, then anything after 60 minutes should be $100 every 15 minutes.
That's a great question. I don't think it's based on neighboring county data because from what we understand, typically the helipad is usually in closer proximity to the hospital, and they've just, because of topography and different other reasons, they've not had that situation here. So it isn't a number based on that type of research, but it's based on
He does state, though, that there's been some discussion about moving the helipad as they were
in the construction.
New construction, and it hadn't been moved.
Yeah, this is going specifically to the hospital, not to the patient. I'd like to make a motion to accept the base rate of $400, but anything after 60 minutes would be in intervals of 15 minutes would be billed at $100 to be equivalent.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, let's move to the next item. Under new business, this would be the Transit Policy Amendment, Special Events Usage Policy.
Yes, sir. So there's two items, and I may mention a third one under this heading if it's all right. Essentially some late breaking type information heard from today. So Mr. Hollifield, who is our, I'll use the word esteemed again, if it's okay, not to overuse it, our transit director, is doing a great job. He has talked to his transportation advisory board. He's talked to staff. He's talked to, I know I've talked to him on several of these issues. He has some transit policy items that he would request that you approve. The TAB, the Transit Advisory Board, has approved these. And most of it has to do with passenger, I'll say the word behavior, but practices once on a vehicle. And if someone, is just accidentally has their grocery bag spill open, we're not going to kick them off the van, but it kind of lays out some basic expectations, especially for frequent riders, because these have come about because of issues that have happened in our system's history. But more specifically and maybe a little more seriously, it talks about out-of-county trips when typically those would be scheduled. It talks about door-to-door, what that means. Sometimes we do have passengers that would like us to go all the way to their bedroom to assist them out to the van. It's a big safety liability. We do have staff, of course, that go into homes all the way further than that, being EMS and sheriff. But this is a different situation, and a lot of that's based on federal guidelines, what we're able to do. So
I'll make a motion to accept the transit policies as well as special event times.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay. Let's move to administrative items. Item C.
Yes, sir. You have several admin items. I'll just hit them in summary. You have EMS write-offs. Sugar Hill Montford Cove Fire Department, you mentioned them a minute ago about the water. They're going to start construction on their new main station. So they've requested a waiver of their inspection fee. There's a Nevo water system leak adjustment. You have a resolution for the sale and donation of a badge for a retiring detective, Mr. Manis, Detective Manis. You have the interlocal agreement that Ms. Craig has that you blessed at the last month's meeting, but this is the actual wording of the document. And you have budget amendments, GF 4 through 10, Reval Fund 1 and Enterprise Fund 1. I'll be glad to go through any one of these, however length you would like.
I'll make a motion to accept the administrative items as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed, like sign. Okay. Let's move to tax matters. Item D under new business.
Those are routine.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Accept them as presented.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Discussion. Commissioner Vaughn got the motion. Commissioner Ellis did the second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Okay, let's move to board appointments. And Madam Clerk, if you want to go ahead and lead out on this.
Yes, I have a few of those. So for the first one, it is Brooklyn Thompson. She has been recommended by Linda Burleson to serve one of the person under age 21 seats on the Juveniles Crime Prevention Council. This is actually the second reading. In the memo, I typed first, but it's actually the second. For the JCPC Council, which has one vacancy for a person under age 21. So
let's go ahead and do that right now. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to accept Brooklyn.
Okay.
Second.
And then
all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay. This is the first reading for the Transportation Advisory Board. There are 4 seats that are expiring in December, so I will have those for you next month. And then this is the second reading for the Agriculture Advisory Board. Alvin Lytle and Tim Burke have both applied to serve on the board, and there are vacancies.
How many vacancies?
More than 2.
There are more than 2.
It was Alvin Lytle and who?
Alvin Lytle and Tim Burke.
What's the pleasure of the board? Wait, this is the second reading, so we can take action on it.
We'll make a motion to accept both Alvin Lytle and Tim Burke to the Ag
Okay, do I have a second discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay, Madam Clerk?
And the last one is, this is the second reading for the Library Board of Trustees, which still has one vacancy, and we will continue to seek applicants for the Library Board of Trustees, but I'm thinking next month we'll have something.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to the next item on our agenda, which will be citizen comment. Do we have anybody who's signed up, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
At this time? Anybody is here wish to speak? Okay. All right, let's move to Commissioners' reports, staff reports. Mr. Wooten, anything you have, or Commissioners?
I'll just mention you'll be receiving an invitation for the Marion Fire Department Christmas banquet being December 3rd. We've got Thanksgiving closures coming up. We are closed for offices that Thursday and Friday. We do always want to talk about the folks that are working and remember them, being our EMS, our Sheriff's Office, dispatchers, public services sometimes in there, and so never want to forget that there are people working when some of us don't have to be here. So that's all I've got.
I do have a comment that I'd like to make. I was involved in a situation a few weeks ago where 911 was called, and in that situation, the Marion Police Department, Marion Fire Department, the McDowell County EMS, and the rescue squad showed up on scene. And I want to thank the, sometimes I've mentioned, we've got to have McDowell County world class. And these departments that work for McDowell County, not limited to these, including the Sheriff's Department and others, but we have a world-class emergency management system here in this county. I was taken back with volunteers, with paid employees. It was truly amazing to see, and the man's life was saved. So I just wanted to make the statement. I do appreciate the both the volunteers and department heads that work for McDowell County and are involved in McDowell County in situations like this. I'm taken back.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. That's good to recognize those groups, and we agree 100% with you. Any other comments by board members or staff? There being none, do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Meeting is adjourned.